Hello, science classes. This is Nathan Reedy. I am here to show you guys how to use a website called CK-12.org. So CK-12 is where we're going to find most of our chapters for this term. We're going to be using it for practice and simulation. So it's more than just a textbook. It really does have lots of interactive features that we're going to take advantage of. So in these next 2 or 3 videos, I'm going to show you how to use the website so you won't get lost and so you can take advantage of all the cool resources it has. The first thing I want you guys to do is know how to create an account. So you might already be signed into CK-12. If you're not, you can go to the upper right, click on the sign up button, or you might see a join button. If you're one of my students, you would click sign up with Google. That'd be the easiest thing to do, and then select your student account. If you're using a personal computer, you might have to add your student account. Same thing for a phone. But now I'm signed in. I see my account information in the upper right, which means I'm signed in. And this is a chapter about Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun. I can scroll down and start reading. But before I scroll down and start reading, I want to show you guys something at the top. I want to show you guys this gray bar right here. There's lots of cool features. First one is review. Well, the first one is lesson. That's just kind of like the main chapter. But the second one is review. This is a really good place to go if you're stuck and you want to know how to start taking notes. And so it basically gives you a summary of the chapter in bullet points. So it kind of makes everything easy to read, short and sweet, tells you the main points of the chapter. It also it says notable images. So if there's any important diagrams or images in the chapter, you'll probably find them here. Vocabulary, if there are some vocabulary words that you want to get familiar with before you start reading the chapter, or if you get stuck on a word, you can always come back here and look at the main definitions. There's some flashcards you can test your knowledge with. Study guide and CK-12 study guides are really cool because they're very well organized, and more often they'll talk about more than one chapter at a time. Asked on Flexi, that's kind of like where some other common questions asked by other students or learners on CK-12. Related content is also really cool. There's some videos here or some other related chapters. So if you kind of get stuck on the chapter, you're not sure what you're reading, these videos kind of provide an alternate view. Sometimes they're kind of fun videos to incorporate the chapter. So definitely recommend going to related content if you get stuck on something. So that's the options at the top. Now, next I want to talk about note-taking. So in my class, whenever I don't just give you guys a chapter, I almost always want you guys to take some notes on the chapter. Note-taking is a very important skill. Besides, in my class, you might be able to use your notes for something later on in the term. And when you take notes, first of all, let me just show you how short the chapter is. So these chapters that I give you guys usually aren't very long. So there, I'm done scrolling through the chapter already. You might be able to read this in 10 or maybe even 5 minutes. And some of these paragraphs are pretty short too. You might not have that hard of a time just copying these chapters down in your notebook. But I cannot tell you guys that I do not want you guys to copy things into your notebook. The note-taking I want you guys to practice is I want you guys to find ways to summarize what you're reading and put it into your own words. And if you're looking for a way to summarize things, well, just go back to this gray bar and click on the review. These provide excellent summaries of the chapter. You can actually just start taking notes by just reading over the summaries or writing down some of these main points. And if you see something related to one of these main points in the lesson itself, that is worth taking notes on. Again, I don't want you guys to take notes on every single sentence because that would be a lot and it'd be too much information. The point of taking notes is to find the main points of a chapter and writing down the main points. So for example, let me see if I can read through the CK-12 chapter, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. The CK-12 chapters usually almost always start with a hook. A hook means that it's something to get you engaged and get you interested in the content. So what's beneath Venus's clouds here at the top says this image was produced by a Magellan probe on flyby. Radar waves were sent by the spacecraft to reveal mountains, valleys, vast lava plains, and canyons. The colors are not real. They enhance the features so we can better see them. So these aren't really the main points of the chapter. This is just like an interesting fact about the planet Venus to get you interested in reading the chapter. But some main points here, like Venus is our nearest neighbor and is most like Earth in size. The planet is covered by a thick layer of clouds. So again, just, you know, and sometimes it depends on what we're talking about in class. But try to pull out those main descriptions, those main points from the chapter, and that's what should go in your notes. And if you get stuck, again, go to the review tab, and you can also go to the bottom of the chapter, and you'll see a summary and review section. These review questions quiz you over the main points of the chapter, and these summary points, again, summarize the chapter just like that review tab would, except these are a little bit shorter in this case. So if you're wondering on how to start taking notes, go to that review tab or go to the bottom of the chapter and start looking at the summary and review section. Then with those things in mind, start reading the whole chapter. Some other note-taking tips is that some people like to mark up their textbooks, like to add highlights or notes. And so even though this is a virtual textbook, you could still take notes. For example, if I really like this sentence right here, Venus is our nearest neighbor and is most like Earth in size. If I click and drag my cursor, I can select the text. And if I'm signed into my student account, this little palette will come up with lots of different colors I can pick from. So I'm just going to choose to highlight this green. If I don't like that highlight, and click on the highlight again and click on the trash can to get rid of it. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. In fact, I'll make it pink. I can also highlight, instead of clicking on a color, I can add a note. I can say something like study this for test or whatever note I want. And once I close this chapter, my highlights and notes will stay there. They're not going to go away. As long as I'm logged in my student account, those things will stay there. And then at the very bottom of the chapter, there's a bunch of other review questions. I do want you guys to know one thing is that I do not assign these review questions to you. I may specifically say, read the chapter and then answer the review questions at the bottom. But most of the time, if you guys are going to do an assignment for CK-12, was going to be on this green start practice button at the bottom right of the chapter. So do not answer these review questions unless you want to. I do not assign them to you. If I do assign a chapter to you, it's going to be through this green start practice button, which I'm going to show you guys in a separate video. Also at the bottom of the chapter, sometimes there's additional videos to watch. And again, those videos are just really good to get you guys engaged and interested in the topic. And there's more asked by students questions. So that's all on video. That's all in this video. If you're watching this video as part of the CK-12 quiz, just go down and answer the questions below and then move on to the next part. Thank you for watching.